Hi guys, welcome back to Spilling the Tea podcast. This is Kiki.
And I'm Halen, and this is episode 6.
Cheers, bestie. Welcome back to episode 6. Can you believe that episode 6 also means that we've been posting for 6 weeks in a row? Which also means it's like over a month of podcasts.
Wow, that's like a big accomplishment. And then we got these legit cards.
How do you call this? You know when you are watching like a TV show and the host always has like her talking points on the other side?
Note cards.
Oh, our director said they're called
Note
note cards.
cards.
But yeah, we have them now. But yeah, we're very happy, very excited to be here again with all of you guys. We have a...
Sorry, cue cards.
Is this gonna be like in the thing?
Yeah. Cue
Okay.
cards.
Cue cards.
I was
so
going to say
disregard.
that, but I didn't want to say it just in case.
You
it
should
was
have
wrong.
educated me. Like, isn't that the podcast, what it's all about? Educating, visibility, and
Yeah, I mean, this
having
is...
fun.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Anyway, going back to
Kiki,
what I was saying.
you're like very, very prepared today.
I tried. Shout out Michelle. She kind of gave me like a peep talk this morning. So I was ready. But then Halen made me change some things.
It's all good. It's just, we're rolling with it.
Okay, but let's get serious now.
Okay.
So
This
today,
is a serious topic today, so I just wanted to issue a trigger warning.
Yeah, it's a little sensitive. So yes, trigger warning. We are going to be talking about SA. I think it's something that we need to start talking about more, just about because of the stigma around it. So many victims that have gone through this and won't speak about it because they're scared, or they feel like they're not gonna be valued. But anyway.
A lot of teens that we see too are experiencing, and the CDC says that it's 1 in 3 women and 1 in 9 men who are sexually assaulted, harassed. And so the numbers are, I think, even underreported if you think about it, because there's a lot
Absolutely.
of stigma around talking about it. This has actually been happening a lot. I know that in my own childhood, I was also a survivor of SA in the church. A lot of family members, friends have also been through it. And I sometimes feel like the silence around it perpetuates or makes it like acceptable or easier to victimize people. And so I think it's a good place in education, but also awareness, and also like, how do we talk to our kids about this? I think that we wanted to provide that value for our listeners today.
Yes, I think it's so sad. I feel like the fact that it happens, to that many people, and again, like the numbers might not even be accurate, because what about like all of the other, men and women out there, non-binary people that are not reporting what's been happening to them, But it is kind of sad that we're a part of the stigma, or not the stigma, we're a part of the stats.
And I just want to acknowledge, right, that unfortunately there's not enough research, or when we talk about 1 in 3 women or 1 in 9 men, we understand that, we still have a lot of work to do in encompassing gender diverse individuals. However, that's the statistics we have right now. And so we are, it's very alarming. Even the statistics that we have today is extremely alarming, and we want to start making it normal, or normalizing how to talk to your kids about this, or friends, and even, I guess, systems and providers and law enforcement. Like, there's a lot of stakeholders that are involved in these kind of cases. And so if we all can come together and actually learn about what the experience is, hopefully we can all be better at our jobs.
Yes. So I know you said that you went through this and that you were sexually assaulted. Would you mind like sharing a little bit about like how that was for you? Like, when did you know you had to speak up? If you did.
Yeah. I was actually very young, like 5 or 6 years old, and so this was happening like at our church, and it was hard for me to speak up, but I eventually did speak up. And I think for whatever reason, Even back then, it was very, very taboo to talk about. And I do believe that that person was removed from our church. So I'm grateful for that. But it wasn't really talked about. And I think there was a lot of, well, maybe they didn't want to like drag me through court or, those kind of things. I did talk to them later in life. But what really helped me was talking about it in like my early 20s and like going to see a therapist and finding a therapist, like actually seeking that professional help, because a lot of like the PTSD symptoms was still limiting me in my young adult life. So I was really grateful that I had that, but I definitely wish that I could have found maybe a therapist that I clicked with a lot sooner.
Wow, thanks for sharing. It really does take a lot, of courage and braveness to really speak up and come up, admit, or not admit, but like share what has happened, because I know that there's a lot of people that may dismiss what you're sharing,
Yeah. Or a lot of people, they just are like, don't talk about it, even like family or, like we just have this stigma around it, and I think that silence like sometimes perpetuates, right, and allows victims to be even more victimized or people to get away with these things. Because I truly don't understand SA.
I don't either.
Right?
I really don't understand why people do it. Like, what's the motive behind it? Like what goes through your mind to do something like that to a person? But I actually do resonate with what you said about like, oh, like people don't believe you. Because when it actually happened to me, and this is just as recent as like maybe less than a year ago, but when this happened to me, I remember I actually came to you. I came to you literally the next day because I knew you were a safe space for me. And I remember just telling other people, like when I first reported it to the cop, he was like questioning, what had happened, like if he was there. And I remember telling some of my family members, and they're like, but are you sure you didn't give him like signals for him to do that to you? Like, what? You know what I mean? Or for me, it happened broad daylight. And it was like on a Sunday, like on a regular day, like I wasn't at the bar, and that's not to say that it's okay for it to happen at bars, but what I'm saying is like, it was a regular Sunday, you know what I mean? Like, because I was just enjoying myself. And some of my family members were like, oh, maybe you shouldn't have accepted a glass of wine from that person. Or why were you out on your own? Like maybe this teaches you a lesson, when in reality, there's no lesson that needs to be taught to the person that's getting sexually assaulted. And also that's something that's very, very, I would say like frustrating, is how the system works.
Oh yeah.
Like, absolutely. So even though Helen and I went to the hospital when it happened to me last year, I was extremely vulnerable. I was in a really bad mental state and health state. And this cop comes to our room and he's like, he doesn't want to sit down, right? When I'm like super sad. He doesn't want to sit down. He's been in his car for way too long. Like, why can't you just meet me like right where I'm at? You know what I mean? Why do you have to bring that like authority vibe when I've already like been, I don't know.
Assaulted.
Yeah, not just assaulted, but like, I'm just in a very like vulnerable state. Like, why can't you just meet me where I'm at, right?
And then, he was very big. I don't mean to cut you off, but he was like a very big,
like muscular
tall
guy,
right? And
tall
so,
guy.
I know it might not be like common sense, but
but that was
we're
already very
scared,
intimidating.
Then when you come into the room, can you like sit down and not be so like aggressive,
But also like, why couldn't they have sent like a girl? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would have been better.
And then fast forward, I go the next day. I want to meet with the doctor because I find out that they are not even like testing for all the drugs that could have been in my drink. And the doctor is like so mad. He's very upset at me because I'm coming back. I'm not letting them do their work. But low-key, they don't realize Helen had already researched everything. She was like, no, go back. You need to test for this and that. And they were still not willing to help me. And I mean, and still to this day, it's been like, I don't know, close to a year. And HPD still has not done anything about it. The Army hasn't done anything about it. And that's just another reason why so many victims don't do it. Like, they don't report it because it's just gonna fall through the cracks, I mean, I've seen this guy walking around the neighborhood And I've called the cops on him and they still let him go because, they just don't have enough evidence. They don't have a warrant. And once again, this is also how the victim gets placed in danger, because this is how people get killed too, because now that guy knows that I know and that I reported him. So it's really sad, but it really does take, a lot of courage and braveness to just come forward, because I can see why someone would not do it. The system is just constantly failing on you.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because there's a lot of things that go into the reasons for why the system is, quote unquote failing. The reason I say quote unquote is because there are also shortcomings within each system that we work in, especially when we look at government systems and we're looking at money. That's a lot of times people are we all know that in Hawaii there's a shortage of healthcare providers in general, right? And then taking a lens from just working with doctors all the time, we also understand how limited their time is. And so again, it's not really about putting blame, but it's about holding the person responsible.
Yes.
Right? Holding keeping the blame where it belongs. And then also unfortunately, Kiki's story is not unique to her. And, I can't count how many times I've seen this. And so unfortunately, it might feel like I'm very desensitized, but it's what I expect, because in this profession for the past 20 years, it's very, very, very common that perpetrators are not gonna get arrested. And even when they do get arrested, they're gonna get released, and they're gonna, a lot of times, not be held accountable. And so I'm not surprised by this. I have even countless teenagers right now still waiting on a court case, still years passing by and not having any justice. And so it is really tough. And the only thing that I feel is effective is if we take our healing into our own hands, and
100%.
that we're able to self-repair, and that collective of speaking about this can create or produce a power that is healing, right, for our community or for anyone who's been through SA, because it can be completely, I think, soul crushing. And even for our kids, that's always been my worst fear, right? And it just continues to happen, and it's so frustrating even when you do all the things. And so one of the things that I've been able to teach my kids, and I was hoping to share with our listeners, is teaching them at a very young age about good touch, bad touch, and safe touch. So good touch we talk about at a very young age, as early as 4 and 5, and saying that, we want to give a high five, or we can give a hug, right? This is good touch, right? Or bad touch is if, someone hits you, or we keep our hands to ourselves. We don't hit anyone or pinch anyone or shove anyone or kick anybody, right? And also we want to watch out for secret touch. And this is when usually an older person is wanting to touch your private areas. This is not okay, right? The only people that can touch your private area is yourself, or your mom or your dad when they're bathing you, right? And having this conversation to get them to understand, because you don't want to scare them, right? But you also need to make it clear that your child needs to stay safe. Did you get any of those kind of talks when you were growing up? I know that I didn't. It just wasn't the norm, but.
No, I definitely did not. But growing up, I have this cousin of mine. Shout out Kiana if you're seeing this. She's a mom of 2. She's a social worker, and I remember her. I heard this we weren't at home in the living room, and I just heard it from the other room. But she was giving my niece just a speech, and basically she was saying you can keep surprises from me, because eventually I am gonna find out it's a good thing that you're doing for me, but you cannot keep secrets. So she was explaining the difference between secret and surprise. And I think that's really a good way of putting perspective or putting the topic onto kids, because, then, you can't keep this secret because it's a surprise, but then the word secret, you should know that you should always share that with mom, because what if they're put into danger, because they just don't know better. But I definitely did not get to talk about this, or maybe I did and I just don't remember. But I do have to say that my childhood was pretty safe.
Yeah.
You know, I was never put into danger. And I know that if I would have been put in that position, I probably would have still come up to my parents to let them know because they provided that safe space for me,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I think that what is so sad is that because I grew up in such a healthy childhood, I didn't think that this would happen. I would be like, oh, maybe like until I am 18, I have the risk of it happening. But once I'm past 18, like I'm Gucci, I'm fine. You know, like how they have that rule, like after your first trimester, you're good on a pregnancy.
Right,
like
right.
that, but like for sexual assault. I was like, oh yeah, once I'm 18, I'm Gucci. It's not gonna happen to me.
Yeah, like you're not as scared. Like when you're a
Yeah.
kid, you're like, oh, people always tell me this. I have to be careful of it. But when you're
Yeah.
18, you're like, okay, I'm home free, right?
Yeah, like I'm an adult, I can make
Yeah,
decisions for
yeah.
myself, but it'll still happen to anyone. And like, this is not only girls, this is girls, boys, like non-binary. This happens to not every single human, but any human out there is definitely at risk. And it's very important that you know, what are the resources available for you to, be able to report this person. You should have a plan, like where to go in the case like something like this happens, like who is your safe person. And it's sad because now that I think about it, like me telling my friends are like, oh yeah, it actually happened to me, I just forgot to tell you like 6 years ago. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? They're like, yeah, I didn't report it because like I don't want to wait for a case or something like that,
Yeah, it's really hard. I think that we have to continue to be aware. I don't want to live in fear, and I don't think that we should live in fear. And I think that's part of the reason why you wanted to share your story and same. But I also am trying to speak on behalf of all the kids that we work with that don't have a voice right now. I do have to shed light. Like, yes, many boys and non-binary people are sexually assaulted, and there's even a lot of like sexual assault going on in the churches, anecdotally, but also in research. And so it's important to not just assume that wherever you are, like because it's supposed to be a safe place, that it is. And I also think that it's important for us to look at what can happen to your mental health after SA. And so what I see, and maybe you can share too, but what I see in the clinic, but also just on a personal level, is like PTSD symptoms, right? So you don't always get PTSD after SA, but you can get the PTSD symptomology, and that can include like nightmares, or that can include like reliving the experience or having flashbacks, or it's almost like when you don't want to think about it, but these intrusive thoughts come automatically, even if you don't want them to come. It's really hard to live like that. And I do talk to many, many kids who go through that symptom. And so it makes it hard to like focus at school, or makes it hard to, and a lot of parents or even educators or school counselors even like don't understand it and expect the child to be at normal functioning when really it's I would say, detrimental to expect a child to be like performing the same way they always have. And I really wish that a lot of school systems would get training or education on a trauma-informed lens of like how to speak to somebody after SA.
Yeah, not only in the school, you guys at HPD, better training, people at the hospital, better training, organizations that say they are made to work with this kind of cases, you guys need training too. It definitely does take a village, and I'm very grateful for the support that we have at Spill the Tea.
Yeah.
Because we always say that Spill the Tea is a safe space for all youth, regardless of their age, insurance, ability to pay, et cetera, et cetera. But it's also a safe space for even us that work there. I remember being able to, get some comfort from my colleagues. I think it's kind of cool when you work at a therapy clinic.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely there. We want to practice what we preach, right? And
Yeah.
then we have to take care of our employees, our staff, our volunteers, like anyone who comes to the clinic. We also want to do things differently, right? We don't want to say like, oh, well, you can't talk about that here at work. I mean, we are a therapy clinic, and we always want to make sure that we can hold that space. And even if that means like referring out or like taking time off, right? Like it's important that you always take care of your mental health. Especially after something like this. Is there any other symptoms that you feel like the kids talk to you about or you've experienced besides like some of the PTSD symptoms from SA?
I know that sometimes like I just go in that like frozen mode if it just
Oh,
like
yeah,
comes
yeah.
through my mind.
Like dissociation.
Yeah.
That is like your body's way of like protecting itself too. Like you're kind of just shutting it all down.
I try not to fight it because I know like in the beginning I would like fight the thought or the feeling, but with time I've learned that I feel it, you know, I acknowledge it and I just let it go because I can't give it that power.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know it's also just my body like healing through it too.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think it's so important for us to take our power back, you know, and
Period.
feel empowered and feel like, yes, that happened to me, but it's not something that I need to ruminate about like from now until, you know, forever, every single day.
It doesn't define you.
Right. And so understanding that this kind of pain can happen and what are we doing about it, like sharing our story, like trying to help others, trying to prevent this from happening, like trying to educate others, right? I think we can't fix everything, but the hope is that for the next generation it might be a little easier to talk about, and we see that happening already, and so it does encourage us to keep going.
And hopefully future generations don't even have to go through this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's fucked up, but sorry, I don't know if we can edit those words. But so how about we share with our listeners, our teens, maybe someone that has gotten sexually assaulted, like why don't we share some words of encouragement? And also for, you know, those people that may not know what to say when someone comes up to you regarding their assault, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I would say, number one, try your best not to blame yourself, even though I know you would do things differently. I am thinking of all the kids that are actually going through this right now, and I'll tell you that, you know, even if your parents are telling you to hide this, or even if your teachers or your school counselors are saying like, well, you are not mentally stable and X, Y, and Z. I want you to still find your voice and say that you are working through this. And I do want you to find professional help if available or if possible. And if not, just anyone who's trusted, who is a safe person to actually talk about it. Like keeping it in and staying silent can sometimes make it feel worse, and it can actually make you feel more alone. And so finding a safe person, I think, and trying your best, even though it feels so awkward and it feels so like the last thing you want to do, talk about it. You don't have to talk about it in detail. You can just say, this is what I'm struggling with right now, and I'm not sure how to I feel stuck. I don't know how to get through it. That will help move some of that energy and like get you to a starting place at least.
Yes.
What about you?
That's so sweet of you. I hope that these listeners really do take some notes, you know, and make sure that you're showing up for your friends, your colleagues.
Yeah, check in on your friends,
yes,
for sure.
check in on them, because again, you know, the shame and guilt and the self-blame may allow that other person, or may make the other person not share what they're going through. But I would tell them, you know, don't invalidate. Don't do that.
Yeah.
If they're coming to you, it's because they do consider you a safe space. And the fact that they're coming to you with something so delicate and vulnerable for you to invalidate them are just gonna make them like push themselves away from you, but also shut their feelings. Like they're not gonna want to share this with anyone else, because the one person that they thought would be a safe person, it's not taking the role, you know? But I would just say like, believe in them. I would also tell them like, you know, thank you for speaking up. Thank you for sharing. I would ask them, how do you want me to help you? Do you want me to help you, like, I don't know, file a report? Or do you want me to help you get like therapy sessions? Because also, I think that people don't realize when this kind of stuff happens to you, you just completely shut down.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to do anything for you. You don't want to do anything for your body. Like, you don't want to shower. You don't want to do anything. You just spiral down. You're super depressed. You're super like, I would say like you're shot into this box. So just shedding some light into the situation would definitely help. And I would also say like, hold a space for them. Even if they don't want to share more information, just holding a space for them where they can feel safe and seen will do enough.
Yeah, and if you're really a good friend, right, or a good ally or a good supporter, what you'll do is like you'll understand time and place, right? You won't, if you have questions, which you naturally can have questions, like when your friend is disclosing this to you, it's not the time to say like, well, what were you wearing and this and that, right? Because that can come off as victim blaming. And if the person who already feels vulnerable feels that you're not a safe person and you're judging them, then you actually can be doing more harm than good, right? And so if you don't know what to say, a good thing to do is to just kind of repeat what the person is saying. That's what Kiki is talking about when she says like validating versus invalidating. If you're validating someone, that just means that you're kind of repeating, not like a parrot, but like you're not gonna just repeat exactly what they say, but you could just be like, Kiki, that sounds like it's so hard. Like that sounds like
Should we do like a role play?
Okay, yeah, why not?
There's like a 30-second role
okay.
play.
We're so...
Okay, period. Let me drink some coffee. Okay, serious, Kiki.
Okay.
Hi, I have something to tell you. I wanted to share something that happened recently. I was at the bar yesterday and I don't know, I think I got spiked or something. I don't remember anything. Like, I don't remember anything. I just remember like blacking out and then waking up and I'm like all injured and I don't know what happened.
Oh my God, Kiki. Are you okay? We have to go to the hospital now.
I'm okay. I think I was sexually assaulted.
This is giving me like PTSD right now. I don't think this
Okay,
is
but
good.
fast forward.
Yeah.
I disclosed information.
But I was crying actually.
Yeah, she was sobbing.
Yeah, so why did we pick this role play? But you know, but like, yeah, but maybe.
Okay, wait, continue. Back into character.
Okay. Should we start again?
No.
Okay.
So yeah, I just feel super sad. I feel like I shouldn't have taken that drink.
No, it's not your fault, Kiki. Trust me when I tell you, like, you do not want to blame yourself for this. You have to put the blame where it belongs.
To that bitch ass.
Yeah, exactly.
What if I go to the cops and like they're gonna be like so mad and like doing their work so shitty? Like I'd rather just go to work. You know, we have like a very like long ass day ahead of us.
I know, but I just want it to be documented because it's super important that there's like everything is documented. You know, even if the system fails us, at least we have it documented. It's really important. We don't want to just like let him go, you know?
Yeah. And like, what do I tell my parents? Like, do I tell them? Like, do I choose to not tell my partner? Like,
I think if they're going to be supportive, you know, but it's not about them. It's all about you. Like, it's definitely about, do you feel comfortable and why are you feeling like it's your fault in any way?
I don't know, because I was on my own. I accepted a drink from him. It's like I almost put myself there. Maybe the way I was dressed. You know?
But that is like very old school thinking, and we're like in 2024. You know, you wouldn't say that if it was your best friend or your sister. You're only saying that because like you're so hard on yourself.
And that's how you eat that shit up. Left no crumbs. But yeah, that's high five. That's basically how it kind of goes. You know, you want to open the space and floor for them to talk, share how they're feeling, and don't question them. Let them talk.
Yeah, let them speak.
Let them speak their emotions. It takes a lot of courage to do this. And, you know, this is one way that you're giving that person the power back. You know what I mean? So, yeah, there's that. If you're watching this and you are not a victim, but what is it called?
Ally?
No.
A perpetrator.
Yes. I want you to call HPD, turn yourself in, and Lord have mercy of you. You're gonna go to hell. Do you have anything else to say?
I mean, I think it is hard for me to talk about because we try our best to bring the optimism and bring the positivity to every situation. But this is one area where it's really hard for me to have empathy. There was people in my program who like work with perpetrators, and you know what I mean? There's like court-ordered people, and there has to be people to work with them. I understand there is a through line. What I mean is like we don't understand why people do the things that they do, but we do understand that they're sick. We do understand that they have some type of like trauma. It doesn't excuse the behavior, but for me, I knew from day one that I could never work with that population. And so that's a boundary that I hold for myself, and I don't feel any kind of guilt about that. And I think it's super important for us to be authentic about it, where we want to feel empowered, right? But we don't want to, I guess, continue the silence. And even though it sucks to talk about, I think we're trying to model, like, even though it's weird to talk about, we still are talking about it. And we hope that you guys all try to do the same.
Period.
Thank you for watching.
Want to know more about Spill the Tea, you can find us on our website, spilltheteacaffe.org. If you want to follow us on Instagram, it's Instagram/spill_the_tea-cafe. We're also on YouTube. I mean, you're seeing this. To our Spotify listeners, hi. To our Apple Podcast listeners, hi.
Oh, wow, we're on Apple now?
Yes,
Oh
Channel
my
Prim.
gosh, good job, guys.
Thank you, guys. See you next time.